The following presentation will discuss the psychology, morality, and ethics of persuasion, and just how manipulative it gets. Here to speak on that topic is Scott Gould, a UK speaker and advisor who is also the UK chair of the Enterprise Engagement Alliance. Please welcome him.
Dobar dan. So, there was a university psychology professor who was lecturing his students around all the important things of psychology, behavior, framing, control and change. And his students thought, let's test this stuff out on the professor. So every time the professor came in and he wandered to the left side of the stage, they'd begin to become uninterested. They would not hold their attention, they wouldn't ask many questions, they would be distracted, play on their phones or whatever. But every time he wandered towards the right side of the stage, they'd begin to become really engaged, they'd really focus, they'd really listen, they'd ask piercing questions. They did this for some time, and naturally, when he walked into the room, what began to happen was he'd walk into the lecture hall, greet all of the students, and then proceed to lecture leaning against the right wall in the room. When the students unveiled this fact to the professor and said, actually, we've been using these tactics against you the whole time, he said, no. It's not, I wasn't standing on the right because you made me do it, it's just because I like standing on the right side of the room. He absolutely could not accept the idea that someone else had implanted an idea into his mind. That is persuasion. And that's what we're here to talk about today, and it is an issue that is fraught with ethical and moral concerns, as I'm sure all of you agree. Now, this isn't a new topic. Actually, the idea of persuasion goes right back to the day when Aristotle scored a fantastic book deal with Penguin. Thank you for the laughter, that was a joke. I can confirm Penguin did not exist when Aristotle was around, and penguins did exist, but Aristotle, alas, being Greek, did not know of them. For years, the idea of persuasion has been nothing new. In fact, communication demands persuasion. It's part and parcel of it. I am seeking to persuade you now to my idea. To talk is to communicate, is to persuade. Even if I say nothing and stand here silently, my presence and that act of silence is influential in some way. From the moment we're born, we are influencing. So we cannot say that influence itself is immoral. And of course, back in the day, influence in terms of advertising wasn't really a problem, you see, because we saw it everywhere we went, and we knew very clearly when something was trying to influence and persuade us. This is Times Square from a recent trip of mine there. And when you're in Times Square, you know you are being advertised to. You know these are marketing messages. You know these things are looking to get a piece of your wallet, or at least a piece of your mind, and that's the deal. We know that's the case. It's understood. I'm in control. Nothing is being implanted into my mind. Or so we think. Because today it's far more like Inception. Organizations are seeking to delve into our mind and spin our totems. And in the case of the professor, they're looking to make it so that the thoughts that we think are original are not actually ours. They are theirs, though we believe they are ours. And now we are crossing over into the question of, is this manipulation or not? The way this is being done, of course, the poison of choice, the weapon of choice for such persuasive tactics is the phone. Today, the average person touches their smartphone, swipes, or taps their smartphone 2,167 times in a day. There has never been a more intimate device that human beings have owned. It is never far from us. No one else uses our phone, and it controls us. It dictates to us. We live by its battery. Our banking is increasingly becoming wound up into it. Our communication is being wound up into it. Without it, we feel lost. We're so bound up to it that we can't go for 5 minutes without refreshing our email to see if someone's emailed us recently, even though we did it 10 seconds ago. We are so bound up to our phones that every notification sends a dopamine rush through our brain, where we have this giant slot machine effect on our phones with what's called variable rewards. Every time you look at your phone, who knows what new activity might have gone on. These things are training us to constantly be in use of them, to never let them go, and for them to be the center of our life. Many of you are on your phones right now, taking pictures of the slides, not me, to clarify. Making notes, tweeting out something that's being said, or maybe checking a notification from a loved one, checking up on some holiday plans, seeing how long we've got until the beer comes. All valid reasons, but again, the mobile phone is the center of our life. And not just the center of our life, it's the thing that we take to the loo with us. That's how pervasive the mobile phone is. Quick straw poll. How many here you take your phone with you when you have a moment privé? Those who raise their hands are honest, the rest are liars. In fact, this idea of addiction is now becoming a selling technique. Here's a website by a popular project management tool called Pulse. And one of the ways that they promote their platform to its users is they say, our platform comes with, and I quote, built-in addiction. The ability to get users hooked on your products, as is the book Hooked by Nir Eyal, talks about the idea of hooked is now being sold as a competitive advantage to the highest bidder. Think about it. Your data, which we've discussed as being sucked up at every single point, the ability to influence when you look, how often you look, sold to the highest bidder, selling addiction. We have a word for this when it happens without a digital substance, but when it happens with a physical substance, and we call it drug abuse. Yet here, it seems to be increasingly celebrated. So, how dangerous is this persuasion? Well, let's play a little game of spot the difference. On your left, we have my model for how people are motivated to engage. That's good engagement, right? This is positive stuff. If something's positive, this is the model that we go through. I'm now going to put up and see if you can spot the difference between good engagement and how bad engagement works. Are you ready? So I didn't hear you. Are you ready? All right. Slow. We're going to pick you up, right? There. They're the same. They're the same. The same way that we engage positively is the same way that we engage negatively. The same process for persuasion positively is the same process for persuasion negatively. Except, when something positively engages us, we know its intentions, we know it seeks to engage with us. But when something negatively engages us, it is often blurred, hidden. It is covert coercion. Covert coercion. Coercion that is under the radar, that is hidden, that is undetectable. And this, for me, is a grave concern, because it means that we are becoming slaves. In a prison, we cannot taste or see or touch. A prison for our mind. Thank you, Morpheus. So, what are we to do? Today, I want to contrast these two important forces of persuasion. On the left side, I want to talk about engagement, which is my subject area that I've been studying for 8 years. I think it's beautiful. I think it is the very key to life itself. On the other hand, on the right side of the room, we're going to be discussing enslavement, the opposite to engagement, enslavement, the use of engagement techniques for manipulative or malicious or coercive ends. And what we're going to discover is that enslavement is known all too well to us, far more than we care to believe. So, let's begin. As per this asterisk that we have, I call it the 5 spurs of engagement. There are 5 things that spur engagement. And a spur is, remember the cowboy boots, you know, when they'd walk in? Ch, ch, ch. The spur is what's on the back of the boots. And a spur, when it goes into your skin, is going to make you go, ouch, right? It's going to provoke a reaction. And that's what engagement does, is engagement provokes a reaction from us. And there are 5 things that happen with engagement that provoke reactions from us. The first of which is shared. Engagement is about what we share with people. It's about what links us together. Today, we share this wonderful belief in digital technology, the power of it to do good. We've experienced it ourselves. We enjoy it. We believe in the power of the clients that we serve, or the companies that we run, or the apps that we build to help humanity. And it's about what's shared. But with enslavement, it moves away from being what we share. It moves to being what separates us. What separates us today is the fact that, maybe we're the ones who really know what's going on. And all those people in traditional marketing, haven't heard of online, who are they? Aren't doing chatbots, who are they? What do they know? And you see how subtly engagement can shift to enslavement. And the hallmark of enslavement as a technique for bad engagement or dark engagement is that it seeks to lock people in. So right now I'm talking quite theoretically. Let's get very practical. Here's an example of the 2 prevailing mobile phone operating systems in the world, iOS and Android. And what you might notice, by the way, is subliminally, I've put Apple on the left to indicate that Apple, of course, is engagement, and I've put Android on the right to indicate that Android is enslavement, because that's my personal opinion on the 2. Very little laughter there. Maybe you're all Android users, in which case I am sincerely sorry for you. Well, and what's interesting about this lock-in strategy, a lock-in strategy is when a company seeks to get a customer to lock into it and make it a high barrier to leave. Rather than a high barrier to entry, it's a high barrier to exit. This is the interesting thing, is that if I want to leave Apple and go to Android, Apple provide no tool for me to do that. They provide no tool for me to get my data from them except in a CSV file for my contacts, and a mail archive for my mail. And all these hefty files that most of us don't even know what to do. You need to have a degree in server administration to work out how on earth these things operate. And that's what Apple will give you. The same with Google. You want to get your stuff from Google, you've got to go through this long and hefty process. But what they do is, in order to get your information onto the competitor's device, they supply you with a fantastic import tool. So, on the left we see there that Apple have got their own import tool on the Android platform. Android provide no way of doing you must get Apple's tool. And Apple, tit for tat, they don't let Google, they don't provide an export tool. You've got to install Google Drive to then back up everything and move it all across. This is lock-in strategy. And when companies are seeking to enslave us, they will lock us in. Negative persuasion that is too much, is something that locks people in. Like the recent example I had with my power cable. I bought a power cable from a British supplier called Maplin. And Maplin had this cable. It was licensed by Apple, which means that if you plug it into your phone, it will not say, error, you might have a non-Apple product being used. It's meant to be, it's just like an Apple product. It's cheaper, so I have it. But then, of course, what happens? After 6 months of owning it, a new iOS update comes along, and Apple decide, no, we're going to stop licensing this product, and they control it from their control room. Boom. Now the cable doesn't charge my phone effectively because of a software issue designed to lock me in, to get me to buy a flipping overpriced Apple cable when a cheaper one would have done. That is a lock-in strategy. And the question, of course, that we'll be asking ourselves is, how ethical is this? But let's not answer it yet. Let's keep on going. The second key thing in engagement is a prompt. Engagement seeks to prompt us. I am engaging you right now. Some of the ways that I'm prompting you is I'm walking around, I'm using my hands. These are all prompts. These are mechanisms that get engagement. A notification on your phone is a prompt. That's a really good thing. In the words of Seth Godin, if you're driving down the street and you see a purple cow, it's remarkable. It will stand out to you. That's good marketing, and good marketing is a prompt. However, moving away from engagement into enslavement, into persuasion that is coercive and covert. It's not just a prompt, they insert their marketing messages into you. They don't just prompt you with them. It's one thing to walk out there into the expo hall and for these companies to be prompting you to look at their stuff, like the really cool chair where you can sit down and listen to music all wrapped around you. Fantastic. It's something else to insert that message right into the device or the mind or the heart of the user. How's this being done today? One key thing is our notifications, right? I mean, they go crazy. Their company has the ability to just stuff you full of its notifications. Now, true, now they're switch off, but once you switch them on, there's often not granular controls to control what notifications you get, and so you begin to get boom, 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 all of this stuff. And by the way, that is not my screen, and no, I do not use Tinder, to clarify. Here's another example, and I'm hating on Apple even though I'm an Apple user. Do you remember when Apple made U2's new album, Songs of Innocence, for free in everybody's accounts? Yeah. What they didn't do, they didn't say, hey guys, right, we're Apple, kind of like, one of the world's, most valuable companies. And, we've got access to all your credit card details, everyone, y'all. And hey, we're O2 and we're really cool and everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our album free for you. And if you want it, you can have it. No. You will have U2's album. We will put it on all your devices. We will clog up the only space you have left on your phone so you have to delete that really rubbish painting app that you like using every now and then. We will take up all the space on your hard drive. You will have U2. Want to delete it? Sorry, it won't work in iTunes. No. If you wanted to delete the U2 album from your account, you had to go to a very specific URL to remove the album. This is enslavement. I did not choose to have this album in my iTunes catalog, but because Apple's Apple and U2's U2, boom, there it is. I did not ask for it. It was inserted into my music library. But there's something in philosophy called the positive right to decisions, the idea of free will or free volition. This has crossed my free will and my free volition. This has crossed the line. I did not ask for this, but you gave it to me, and now I have to find a way of opting out. This is exactly the same thing that's happening with GDPR. When someone adds you to their newsletter? Hey, we're friends on LinkedIn, so I downloaded the whole entire CSV file and imported it into MailChimp, and boom, there you go. Even worse is when they don't add you into MailChimp, they just add you to this massive BCC list. So if you want to unsubscribe, there's no way of doing it except saying, Dear Fred. I'm trying to find a soft way to say piss off, but it's not coming to mind right now. You did not ask permission from my dear. Of course, you would never say that, would you? What you would say is something like, hi, Fred. Where do I begin? So I have to kind of put Fred into junk mail because there's no way for me to opt out of these emails that he's just chosen to give to me. More disturbing still, this is an article covering a recent bit of Facebook research in which Facebook divulged to their advertising clients in Australia that they had the ability to detect when a user was sad, overwhelmed, felt worthless, useless, anxious, stressed, things like that. They had the ability to pinpoint these very personal emotions and insert your marketing messages in a powerful way right at that moment. Not just any moment, though, not a moment of joy, when we're feeling emotionally strong, not a moment of elation where our confidence is high, in these moments where we're vulnerable and we're susceptible to something that will affirm us. Facebook, of course, declined to comment any further. What's the third thing that engages us or enslaves us? Well, it's understanding, right? Something can only engage you as far as you can understand it. If I don't understand it, I can't engage with it. And inside engagement, this is really just about education. Many of us will know about content marketing is about educating your audience. That's really good. However, when it comes to enslavement and products that use enslaving techniques don't try to help you understand. Rather, they unsettle you. They don't deepen your knowledge. They try to disrupt the knowledge you have, even to the point of indoctrination. For instance, this is an example of what's called a dark pattern. a phrase coined in 2010 to describe it when user experience or user interface is used in such a way that, again, it is covertly coercing you towards a certain decision. In the black box, so here you might have seen this, you've just checked out on Amazon, you go to buy, but you're not a Prime user. So you can click the big yellow button that says Get Started, which is on the right side of the page. It's kind of what you would assume to click, because what do you do when you see a button? You click it. If you don't want Prime, you have to sift through the blue link that feels like you're giving your life away. No, I do not want to save $18.95. They almost phrase it like you're giving them $20. This is a dark pattern. It gets worse. This is London Zoo, of all places. I mean, come on, London. Capital of the free world of England and the Commonwealth and all that it used to stand for. Something I'm not proud of is our colonial history. And you've just purchased something, and now it asks you if you want to make a donation. Well, donation to a zoo is a great thing. So the big green button that points right, which means next, says, sure, add to basket with donation, and it's green. Green means click here and it's safe, right? Green means this is the standard click button. On the left, you've got add to basket without donation, but it's going backwards. If I click this, do I lose out? What happens? Now, someone who might take the time to read this will go, oh, I wouldn't be caught by that. My mother-in-law would be caught by that. My mother-in-law is the person that when she wants to log into Facebook, she opens up a new browser window, types in the search box Facebook login, and then clicks on the first link that comes up to Facebook logging. Whether it's a phishing site or not, she doesn't know. This is a dark pattern. The fourth thing that we engage with are things that elicit a response from us. And this is why buttons are so important in engagement. And of course, this is done through suggestion, right? I suggest that you click here. I suggest you engage with this. Today, I am giving you examples that I suggest you consider and take home. But when we move to enslavement, it's no longer about suggesting, it's about squeezing. And they seek to squeeze a reaction. Controlling things seek to get a reaction from you. For instance, squeeze pages. I mean, what a horrible name for a marketing technique. A squeeze page. It kind of gives away what the whole point is. You know those pages that you go to them and you can't get rid of the ad no matter how hard you click? You click to leave and it brings up another one. No, wait, stay and we'll give you another 50% off. And then you close the window and now the cookie follows you around YouTube. After every YouTube video you watch, an advert comes up saying, please come back. We'll give you an extra 50% off the 50%. By leaving this page, you will lose this offer forever. And then they've got countdowns, offer is only valid for 5, 4, 3, 2, and you're sweating, what should I do? Of course, the secret is that if you refresh the page, it starts from 5 again. 5, 4. They make up these fake offers. They're scams. They're scams. The worst thing is that when you've got squeeze pages that sell squeeze pages. If you want to see a squeeze page par excellence, you should check them out. They've got every single psychological technique you can think of trying to get you to squeeze through this thing. It sounds like childbirth to me. It's just the most vicious technique to try and get someone to buy something. But it gets worse. This here is what it's like trying to book a hotel these days. My word, if you want to book a hotel online, you need to be of stable emotional health before you begin. No less than 5 techniques here that are using scarcity to pressure you into buying it. Go to buy a room. This room's in high demand, in red. Only 3 rooms left on our site. Could be a dozen in the hotel, but on our site, only 3. And then, jackpot. This is the cheapest price you found. Congratulations, you're a genius. And 33 people looking now. According to our booking.com, travel scientists. Scientists are working on this. Oh my word, they gave up the cure for cancer. Stuff that. There are 33 people. You got to make a decision now. Last chance, only 1 room left to book on our site. Time is ticking down. You're going to die. Finally, US 182, not 224, not 203. They crossed out 2 prices. Not just 1, but 2. So they're doubly interested. $182, today's value deal. My word. I'm dazed and confused. What on earth? Where am I? What am I doing here? I mean, is this really the type of marketing that we want to have put to us? Is this really the best that humanity can come up with? We will draw out all the profit we can get from people that use our site because we manipulate you into giving it to us, because we can't find a better way to actually go about engaging you. Manipulation is controlled reality. This is controlled reality. In fact, these guys are now being cracked down on because I think it's actually going to be listed as an illegal activity because, of course, all of this stuff is, a lot of it is made up. It's cached stuff. There's ways for them to kind of technically say it's true, but it is controlling reality in that moment to make you feel something that is not true. Finally, the last of the Spurs, and you'll notice, by the way, because a good framework should always be like, an acronym or something, is you've got SPURS, the Spurs of engagement. You see that? Come on, you've got to be impressed with that. The last one is that with engagement, the final thing that motivates us to engage with anything is this idea of sensibility, the thing by which we know something is valuable. And that normally is proof, and there are different types of proof, and we can discuss that another time. But with enslavement, it moves from proof to propaganda and susceptibility. No longer are we looking to demonstrate to you why it's sensible to engage with us. We're looking to where you're susceptible to engaging to us. And now things get concerning indeed. This is an article that was circulating during the United States elections last year. Here we've got an image of an FBI agent suspected in Hillary email leaks, found dead in apparent murder-suicide. And someone, who do you think is responsible for this? Our vote is Hillary Clinton, obviously. 4.2 thousand people liked this, 10,000 people shared it, and it's completely made up. And there were hundreds of these spinning around. This is propaganda, exposing a susceptibility to a certain portion of people that felt that Hillary Clinton was holding herself beyond the law and had some kind of black ops team killing everyone that had anything to do against her. And they exploited that susceptibility with propaganda. Can I go deeper? This is the facepalm moment for every Brit. I just want to take a moment, please, actually, if you could just... In fact, let's just all take a moment, shall we? The outcome of the British referendum on whether we stay in the EU or not was based upon the false information, otherwise known as a lie, Boris Johnson, that we will have £350 million a week to build a new hospital every week, which is propaganda, playing into susceptibility that people fear their health is not a priority. Can I go deeper? This is a website that helps freelance consultants. A friend of mine joined up to it. Give us 7 months and we'll give you $100,000 a year freelancing business. What a great proposition. Don't want to know how much it charges, but that's preying on someone's susceptibility. Or how about Snapchat? A snap streak is when two people message each other every day in a row. And someone here has racked up 500 days of messaging. They've messaged each other to create this snap streak. I mean, it's a game. It's a way of getting someone to use the platform. But Snapchat's core audience are teenagers. They are vulnerable people. This is preying on susceptibility. And for what purpose? To get them to spend more time in the app, to get them to spend more time looking at their adverts, inculcating and training in them an addiction. Where does it end? The same techniques that are used in Islamic State. Separation. See, engagement is about what's shared, us. Engagement is what separates. It's us and it's also them. The same techniques that are used to create something that's shared, a prompt understanding, they begin as the same techniques with enslavement, but somewhere along the line, they depart. Something starts off as engaging, but slowly what is meant to be about what's shared, because we resonate with what we have in common with things, now begins to be about what we have that's separate from people. Locks us in. Prompting goes to pressing. Understanding goes to unsettling, and such and so forth. This is the same technique that cults use to acquire their members, and in the crazy cases, to commit mass suicide. Same techniques, same psychological techniques, literally coming from the same cookbook. So the question is, well, people are doing it. Is it ethically justifiable? And is it commercially justifiable? And importantly, how do we tell the difference? The difference lies in intention. Engagement is the desire to, is where both people make the most of a relationship. Engagement is about making the most of a relationship. Enslavement, that which is a manipulative form of persuasion, that which is undue influence, seeks for where one party takes the most from a relationship. Very different intentions, but on the surface can appear similar for a time. There are other words used for these views and these intentions on the world. Democracy and dictatorship. And we are in a world where some of these big organizations that have such a key part in our lives are dictating our lives, our habits, how often we use their tools, how we think. It is concerning indeed. And I don't think it's needed, because you see, when somebody realizes that you've been enslaving them, what do? They become Mel Gibson. They put Spanish freedom would be freedom, ole. They paint themselves blue and white, and they go, freedom. You could take away my right to export my data, but you'll never take away my freedom. And when brands do this, it blows up. The very fact that I've called it enslavement gives you a clue. Does anyone here like to be a slave? And when you find out you are one, you are pissed off. So Sonos recently have decided to make it that if you don't upgrade to their new software, your stuff becomes unusable. The Microsoft antitrust case, where they had a monopoly and they were pushing out other developers, halted their growth and allowed Apple to nip in, do the iPod, and now set themselves up as the most valuable technology company ever, when that was Microsoft's title and there was no sense in stopping them. New Coke. We're taking away old Coke and giving you new Coke, and you've got nothing to do about it. And of course, there was a massive consumer backlash. Volkswagen is hiding the enslavement and the trickery behind the emissions. Verizon recently did this thing where they bolted on a $2 convenience fee. People were outraged. Of course you would be. You have no right to just go and do that. Or when Apple forced us all to use the new updated Apple Maps app, and it was rubbish. Consumers went crazy. It dented their image, and they had to put with their tail between their legs, they had to create a section on their website and on their iOS app that had other apps for your phone, and Apple Maps is not there because it's rubbish. You see, the risks of an enslavement strategy are high, because when people find out, they don't like you. But you don't need to enslave if people are engaged. Do you think these people who've tattooed their favorite mobile phone brand into their arm need to be enslaved? Do you think these WordPress developers, all of whom are volunteers who put in hundreds of hours a month, need to be enslaved? Hell no, they're engaged. Do you think this person surfing with a Fitbit in his mouth needs to be enslaved? No, he loves it. He's engaged. He wouldn't buy another brand because not Fitbit, he'd GoPro because he loves GoPro. When someone is engaged, you don't need to enslave them. These Lady Gaga fans do not need, I particularly like the one in the middle, do not need to be enslaved. They are engaged. And this guy, do you know what he's doing? Pokemon Go. He is one engaged user of Pokemon Go. You see, the value of an engaged customer is huge. 3 times more valuable per year. Companies that practice engagement are 29.9% more valuable compared to the S&P 500. Engaged users are 23% more offer 23% premium, and they're 8 times more loyal against competitor offerings. Meaning, if a competitor is cheaper, an engaged user doesn't care. Apple doesn't need to enslave me with using its cables or locking me into YouTube or locking me into any of his other stuff, because I like the design ethic and I think Google have got terrible design. I'm not going anywhere. I'm engaged. So stop enslaving me. And there will come a point where I will be too enslaved and I will kick against it, like we all do in the end. That's the story of humanity. Thus, finish with the wise words of advertising man Bill Bernbach, who said, "The most powerful element in advertising is, of course, the truth." Thank you.